Welcome to the Agent Bridge podcast. We're your host, Brandon Baca.
And I'm Marl Hessen.
The Agent Bridge is the proven path to real estate success without the burnout. All right, sir. Let's start the top of the episode 13. We're recording this on January, what's today, 17th?
I think it's 18th.
January 18th,
Yeah,
2023. We're already in 2023, which blows my mind. But I want to kind of talk at the top of the episode about an exciting announcement, something we announced to several of our agents last week or earlier this week about your program through Ownership Mortgage. So can you talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, let's do that. So I am a lender with Ownership Mortgage. Brandon and I have a partnership with Ownership Mortgage, and they are rolling out a program through all the states that they're licensed with, and they're licensed with about 13 states, I think, in which you can buy a Class T share of that company, and you are now an owner. And what that allows you to do is profit share. So any loans that you're referring into Ownership Mortgage, you can get paid up to $1,800 per loan of net income share. And obviously it scales based on the loan amount, but I think it's around $500,000 loan, $500,000 loan, get you the total net income share of $1,800. And then also, if you refer other people to the program, and if they buy a Class T share, you can earn $700 per loan that they refer.
Yeah, it's just an amazing innovation, I think, in the mortgage space. And so I'm super excited about it. There's are we going to put a thing in the show notes about how they can kind of look into it? And
yeah, I can share a link, and that link will take you to a video. I think the video is about 4 minutes. And then it'll ask you to sign an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. And then it'll take you to another video to kind of explain, out now that you signed the NDA, to explain the program a little more in depth. And then they'll ask you to book an appointment with somebody at Ownership to explain any minute details and and from there, you're in the program, and any loan you refer, you can start getting paid.
I think it's huge in terms of creating another stream of revenue. I think there are situations definitely, and I don't want to be naive to this. I think there are a lot of like real estate, agents or companies that would like to put their head in the sand and say, hey, real estate commissions are staying the same. And the reality of it is we are seeing a pinch in real estate commissions that are being offered as a percentage of the overall home sales. So do we wish we could get 3% on every single sale? Yes. Do we? Probably not. You probably, depending on what market you're in, you may see that, represented as a 2% to buyer's agent or 2.5%, or, we like to get 3% when we can, but the reality of it is that isn't always offered. And if you're a decent agent, you're not going to, keep your clients from looking at a house because you're not getting paid as much money. You're going to show them the house, right? So, as there's sometimes there's a pinch on the commissions, this is a way to create another stream of revenue where you can maximize profitability on your buy-side transactions. So I think it's a huge opportunity for agents. I think agents should completely get involved.
It's a very unique program. It's the only lender in the country that's offering anything like it. There's a RESPA compliance issue with paying for referrals, and this program is RESPA compliant. It allows you to get paid compliantly, and that's the most important thing. And it's a great source of additional income. And how often are you referring out business to other companies and not getting paid?
Yeah.
And it's just an opportunity to help yourself.
Yeah, I'm incredibly excited about it and excited about the opportunity. And honestly, the other thing with Ownership Mortgage, and not to belabor this point or harp on this, but it's just a great company with great leadership. And it's hard to, it's not as easy to find that nowadays. Yeah. And so my experience with Ownership, obviously you're a great lender, but in the hierarchy in the organization, all the way from the CEO to every single person that I've had an interaction with at Ownership has been top tier.
Yeah.
Hot, just a really solid people.
Yeah. Chris Tam runs the company. He's the CEO, and he's run massive real estate organization, I think they were selling about 400 or 500 homes a year.
Yeah.
and then he started a CRM at one point and was the CEO of that company, and now started a mortgage company specifically for this profit sharing opportunity. Like that's why Ownership Mortgage was built. Obviously, it's in the name. But yeah, exciting program.
Yeah, exciting stuff. Awesome. Well, yeah, we'll put that in the show notes, and guys, get on it. Put your information in, and you'll be contacted by one of the Ownership Mortgage people to formalize the agreement, and so you can kind of get started getting paid on those referrals. All right, episode number 13, we're going to talk about how do I build and work a database, and there's a lot of confusion about this in the real estate industry about the best way to really advertise. I think, as an agent starting out, you're sort of like, well, where do I direct my energy? And we've talked about this before. I mean, the initial place you need to direct your energy is in real estate conversations with people who can buy or sell. And we've talked about that in previous episodes. But as you go, you also need to be building your database so that you are staying top of mind with future and past clients. It's an essential. Because what you don't want to have to do is go back and try to recreate a database after 2 to 3 years in the business. You want to keep it alive and active from the very beginning. And really what we're talking about in building a database is having someone's name, phone number, and email address and marketing to those avenues appropriately. And where the confusion happens, I think, in real estate industry is they'll rely too heavily on a particular advertisement, like an advertising platform like Facebook, Realtor.com, Zillow, all of those places. And the reality of it is those platforms are changing constantly, and you have zero control over them.
Yeah.
What you have 100% control over is your personal database. And your ability to email to them. And email marketing is still the most effective way to market to someone.
Yep.
And so, when you're talking about what people don't understand, I think is Zillow is just a massive database. They have made almost all of their profit from sourcing names, phone numbers, email addresses, tracking what people are doing inside their database and reaching out to them based on certain triggers. So it's not, so the idea is but if I have all my money in Zillow or all of my effort is on Zillow and Zillow changes something, then I'm up a creek.
Yeah.
If they change an algorithm, if they change a zip code, if they split that zip code in half, if it's there's nothing you can do, you can't control it. And especially if you're locked into a contract, all your business is coming from that one platform and you haven't built your own.
Yeah. And Facebook's a great way to advertise. I'm not knocking it, but
no.
I think the last number I saw, the average agent spends like $7 to earn $1 or something when they advertise on Facebook.
That's
and
right.
There's a lot of agents that are successful with it, but they're building something, they're creating a message, and then they're lighting that message on fire by putting it out in ads. And that's a very different approach than someone who just thinks, if I just spend money on ads, it'll get it out in front of all these people and they'll come use me.
Right.
It just doesn't work like that.
Well, I think, and that's probably the main point in any sort of advertising that you do. The goal needs to be to continue to build your database, right? Because that will pay off over time. So even if you're doing advertising on Facebook, which I agree, it's not bad. Zillow's not the enemy, right? But you don't want to have your platform or your sole source of income dependent on something that you can't control.
Marketing is your messaging.
Right.
Advertising is the amplification of that message. And you just have to have the first part really solid before you go spend money.
Right. So yeah, again, and I think, a lot, especially like millennials or zennials coming into the business, they're like, have you encountered this? It's like people who don't have an email address or they don't use their email, this younger generation.
Yeah.
It's interesting. And so there may be some change, but really, once somebody becomes a professional, once they're starting a career, email is it, right? And I think even your average, like across all platforms and all industries, your average open rate on an email is around 20%. So it's a great place to store your platform. And, even as the, market shifts or the way you market to people shifts, having their information is going to be paramount, right? In terms of reaching out to them and advertising and marketing to them. Okay. So, I think the other thing that you have to understand is the game is to say really just top of mind for when people make decisions. So that's the other sort of issue when you're conceptualizing marketing is like, hey, I'm going to send an email and people are going to call me and be ready to buy or sell a house. And that's not reality either. The idea is to, and once your database gets big, that will start to happen. Right. You can like once you have a 20 to 30,000 person database, you can generally count on a number of deals that are going to come through that database every single month as you build it. But the idea, the general idea is just to stay top of mind. And this is something that realtors are terrible at. They will sell a house. By the way, I am so guilty of this. So this is not coming from a place of judgment. Okay. Realtors will sell a house. Never talk to that client ever again, and then be upset when they use someone else.
Yeah, all the time.
In 3 to 4 years. And here's the other thing: this is statistically true. And Realtor is at Realtor.com that's tracked this. Most people, like an overwhelming percent, like 80-something% of people, would use the same realtor that they used, but they can't remember their name. Now, I want you to let that sink in for a second. Like, they're not going to remember you unless you stay top of mind. And I think you kind of go, well, how's that possible? Like, I was with them in this interaction. I, worked with them every single day for 6 months. And, how could it be that they don't remember me? And the reality of it is, it's just human psychology. People can only store so much information. They're meeting new people all the time. So they're typically, when they're selecting a real estate agent, they're going to go with the path of least resistance.
Yeah.
And so the path of least resistance 3 to 4 years from now is their sister's friend who just got a real estate license, or whoever they ran into out in town, or their mom's friend, or whatever. Like, it's just, they're just going to go with who's close by. And that's why you have to stay top of mind.
Yeah. I just read an article that was sent to me from someone that I'm close with, and they had a 3,000 person database. Mm-hmm. They sent 225 emails in the last 12 months. So you're thinking already that's spam. Yeah. Well, no, this guy did 225 emails to his 3,000 person database and sold 65 homes. So, and that's only marketing he did. Email database. He did not do Zillow. He did not do Realtor.com, any of those other like lead generation platforms. That's all he did. 225 emails in 12 months. That's a lot of emails.
It's a lot.
And you're thinking, like, if people keep getting all these emails, they're going to unsubscribe. Yeah, you're going to get people unsubscribe. Mm-hmm. But you're going to add people too.
Yeah.
And when someone needs to buy a house, what are they going to do? They're going to go back to their email and be like, man, I've been getting a lot of emails from Brandon. Yeah. Let me look him up. Let me give him a call. And, you're right there.
It's so true. That's one of the things that I have here written down is like not to take things personally. I mean, I've had realtors that's like my, uncle unsubscribed from my email list, or, this person from my church unsubscribed from my email list. Look, don't take that personally. It's not a reality. Some people are real sticklers with their email address and who has it, and they don't want anybody in their email inbox. There are just people that are wired that way.
Yeah.
I think the majority of people don't care. It's like, well, if you're like my wife, you have 35,000 emails that you don't delete.
Yeah. I mean, we have a 10,000 person database that we email probably less than 225 times a year, but
right.
We get 60 something unsubscribes every email that goes out, but we get like 50 to 60 additional subscriptions each week too. So like, people are going to unsubscribe. People think they don't need that information right now, or maybe they really don't need the information right now, or whatever the situation is, it doesn't matter. Like,
right.
You're providing information. If they don't need the information right now, that's okay.
Yeah, exactly. So don't take that personally. It's just that some people are just that way. And so you have to kind of keep that in mind as you start in this journey, because everything, like when you're just getting started as a real estate professional, everything sort of feels very personal. everything feels like every interaction or every rejection, you're going to feel that a lot more. But as you sort of progress in business, you start not caring as much. It's not that you become jaded. It's more that it's like that's just kind of the reality of doing business, and you look at things more from a data perspective than you do from a personal perspective. So as you grow, the other thing is like when people are getting started, it's like just start small. I think people are like, well, I got to go download my whole iPhone into my CRM. I would rather you take a list of 25 people to kind of get your feet wet, right? And start adding to that progressively. You will have windfalls of information over time, but you kind of need to get a feel for what this is. So, and that's just a general principle of business ownership, period. As you all are business owners, nothing is ever going to happen overnight. Everything's going to happen progressively over time. You have to put your time in. You have to take it step by step. So that's why I say like start small. That way you can kind of get a sense of it and love on that small group of people that are in your database, 25 or 30 or 50 or 100 people, right? You're going to have so much more by marketing service-oriented content to a small group of people than trying to go buy Facebook ads. I think your time is better spent.
Yeah, absolutely.
So make sure, it's just don't think you're going to conquer the world in the database world overnight. Just start small. By the way, your mom and dad count, right? And that initial group of 25 people. Let's just kind of get some stuff out there, and we're going to build it over time. And you're going to have some windfalls of data. So that stuff's going to happen. You're going to get, I've got 150 people that I met at an event. We're going to input those into the database. That's going to happen over time. Or I got, 20 people at an open house. We can input that in the database. So you're going to have windfalls over time, but you're not going to build a database overnight. So stay on top of, just kind of fall in love with that process of marketing and speaking to your database. The other thing, and this comes up from time to time, there are a lot of people go, well, what do I send out in email form? Like, how do I create an effective drip campaign? There's different ways that you can do it. There are content platforms out there. So we use one called Happy Grasshopper. They generate new content every 30 days. So you can go to happygrasshopper.com. We have an integration with Happy Grasshopper in our company. But they generate the content for you. So it's a little more plug and play. And I think it's effective. I mean, if you use it, the open rates, the engagement is very effective based on the content that they're providing. And you're not having to be bogged down with creating it. So, and there are a myriad of other content platforms out there, but I wouldn't start with trying to do it all yourself out of the gate.
Yeah, I think it's easy to start with something like Happy Grasshopper. They do a great job of creating content that's engaging. The Happy Grasshopper itself offers a lot of tools and technology, allow you to track open rates and things like that. And I think we're going to get to that on the list. But if you don't want to start there, if you want to start and you do want to spend some time on it, it's easy to announce a kid activity that's local in your area, or your favorite shops that you like to go to that are local, or your favorite restaurants, or any sort of, there's a concert in town, like anything like that you can just send out just to stay engaged with your audience. It's fine. It could be anything.
Well, yeah. And I think that, I think you're going to get a lot more engagement out of community oriented content anyway. So like, hey, this new restaurant's in town. People are going to open and read that email. And we've talked about this before, the concept of being the mayor of your town. You need to be sharing what's out there through your platform, through email, and people are going to open that and engage with it and are going to be appreciative of it.
Yeah. And using those two in conjunction too, like using Happy Grasshopper for some real estate content, but then sprinkling in some of your own content that's like local flair, I think is a great way to just stay engaged with a database. I mean, and think about a database like this. I mean, yeah, we want you to start small with 25 so you can kind of build confidence around reaching out. But guess what? When you reach 10,000 people in there and 1% of those people buy.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you kidding me?
That's 10 people like, buying every month.
100, 100 homes. Like, come on. Like it's a numbers game. So like you start small and you work your way up and stay engaged, and people will convert.
Yeah, there's no question about it. If you're doing it the right way and you're staying top of mind, again, people are going to choose the path of least resistance. When they're selecting a realtor, they're thinking about the realtor that's top of mind. That's it. So that's the game. The game is not, again, I send an email and somebody calls me and within the hour. The game is staying top of mind so that when people think of doing something in real estate, you are the first person that they think of. So that ought to be your aim. The other thing is it could choose, and this is one I'm going to lean on you for, RL. It's like choosing a platform where you're going to be able to track open rates, see who opened the email, see what their level of engagement was, because you have like email opens and email clicks as a part of the process of sort of sorting through the data. But choosing a platform where you can, hey, this person has this level of engagement, I need to reach out to them.
Yeah. So, I mean, Happy Grasshopper has that. I know we talked about them some. I think one platform that is like a safe place to start because it's extremely easy to use and you pay for it as you scale. So like the smaller your database, the less you pay for the platform is MailChimp.
Yeah.
MailChimp just allows you to build campaigns. You can run scenarios based on subject lines to see which one gets better engagement with your group as you get bigger. You can see who opened it, see who clicked links within it, and it's just there's a lot of information there. So, for instance, if you have 100 people in your database that you're emailing once a week, and Brandon just opens every email, clicks every link. That might be somebody you might want to get a little closer to.
That's right.
You might want to have coffee with Brandon, or you might want to say, "Hey, it looks like you're, super engaged with my emails. Appreciate that. Is there anything I can do to help you right now?" Or just to reach out. Or how's life? I just want to catch up. Just anything you can do to get a little closer to Brandon, because obviously he's opening your emails, he's clicking your links.
That's exactly right.
Is important, and you'll see that data at a glance. So you'll know who's opening my emails, who's clicking my links, how often are they doing so. Who's unsubscribing, all right, and that's okay too. And it's just a lot of data there for you to start to spend your time more effectively. So initially you're mass email and large database, but you're trying to get to who's buying or selling. That's the ultimate goal. And the way to do that is who's engaged.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you want to track that engagement. Do you have platforms that you recommend? I mean, we said Happy Grasshopper, but aside from
MailChimp
okay.
is it's the easiest one to start on. Like there's others, like Emma is great. It's more expensive. I think MailChimp's just great because their pricing model is such that as you start with a small database, it's pretty inexpensive.
Yeah.
And you don't have to increase to the next plan until you get a larger database, and you still get a lot of the features that you get with the larger database. So I like that platform to start. I'm not saying it's the end all be all and it's the best one out there, but it's a great place to start.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you want, starting small is great. The one I always recommend, because everybody already has this list in their house, is your Christmas card list. You have a list of names, a list of addresses,
That's right.
and their phone number.
Yes.
And just plug those in, and you're already you feel comfortable reaching out to them with a Christmas card. Why wouldn't you send them an email?
Right.
Like what's the difference? And maybe it's a mailer. Maybe Brandon likes Oklahoma football. Send them create some magnets for the refrigerator with Oklahoma football schedule on it.
Yeah.
Send it out.
I think that's a barrier for people though when they're thinking about even their Christmas card list is like, oh, I don't want to bother people. I don't want to I don't want to come off as a business person. And that's the whole deal around generating service-oriented content, because if you're adding value, you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? If you're talking about the latest restaurant, people aren't going to be bothered by that. And if they are, whatever. Like it doesn't have to be don't let that be a barrier in terms of you engaging. That's one of the things is like, I run into with realtors a lot. And I think there's a fine line to walk here between bothering your friends, right? Being a pest versus just creating opportunities for them to engage with your platform. And so do I think you should call your friend and be like, hey, do you know anybody who wants to buy and sell 3 days in a row? No, I don't.
Yeah.
Right. And I've seen real estate companies and platforms that do that, and it feels very disingenuous. But do I think you sending them an email that's talking about community or home ownership is going to be pestering them? No. If you can feel confident that if you're sending that engaging, whether it's funny content, whether it's hey, here's what to do with your house, or whether it's here's what's going on in the market, people are not going to be offended by that. And if they are, who cares?
Yeah. I mean, we just had an extreme cold snap, 6 weeks ago or whatever it was now. Sending out an email say, hey, did you guys know that you can buy these like exterior faucet covers so that nothing freezes up?
Right.
Something like that. Just something simple that provides a little bit of value. Everybody who knows you well enough to open a piece of mail that you send them with a Christmas card is not going to just say, oh, I can't believe Brandon just sent me an email helping me out with homeownership.
Well, I mean, and I think, the sign that you're doing this the right way is that when people call you in that research phase of buying, when they go, hey, we're thinking about selling, we wanted to get your advice about something.
Yeah.
Right. That's when you're starting to track in the right direction with your database. And, and I even still get calls, throughout the year, even though I'm not primarily focused on selling real estate. I get calls throughout the year from people who are, hey, I'm thinking about, we're getting ready to, so on and so forth. And that's the signal that things are working, and the real signal that things are working. And this is super exciting. I remember, I remember to this day, my first referral email. I was on top of the world when somebody said, hey, I got your information from, Cody. We're looking at houses in this area. Would you help us? And as a real estate agent, I'm like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You're like trying not to like jump up and down. You're trying to keep it cool, in the process of interacting with them, like when you're having your first referral. But that's really when you're on the right track. And that's the added benefit of marketing to that database is people are going to ask their friends about who to use.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I think is still very word of mouth is real estate. I don't think you're going to use, most people aren't going to use a realtor just because they're on TV or just because they're on a billboard. It's such a personal interaction that they want to have a trusted advisor. So still people reach out to the people that are in their network to ask them who they know.
Yeah. And the other piece of this is don't confuse no responses, unsubscribes, or, no calls to you as people aren't reading, people aren't engaged with you, people don't like that you're sending content. Don't confuse those two things, because I've seen situations where realtors have sent emails over 12 to 18 months and then all of a sudden said, hey, I'm looking at this house over here in Brentwood. Could you help me? And you think, oh, I've been emailing them for 18 months. They're dead. Like, I'll just move them out of the group. No, that's not the case. It's like, people will reach out to you when they need you.
Yeah.
They just, they're just not going to reach out to you just because.
Yeah. And again, it's a long game. It's not short game. You need to put your time in and generate good content over time to get the results that you want. So the other thing that you can do with your database is you can invite it. So I like to once an agent gets to a certain level of established lead generation, I like to start to intersperse quarterly events where they can invite their database to, because that gives you touch points. By the way, the older I get, the quicker the months roll by. So even creating quarterly events it's work. It's a job.
Yeah.
And they're going to they're going to be a regular enough touch point to where you can have solid interaction with your clients. And so I think the events are an essential piece of creating a successful real estate and adding to your database too, because they can invite their friends and adding to your database. But so I just think, have them every quarter. And I want to give you guys some, and that gives you something to invite people to, right? Be like, hey, did you know about my, bourbon and bonfire next month? Make sure you come, right? So that gives you a touch point when you're having interactions with people where you can sort of bring them into your atmosphere. So I think the events are an essential. So I like a bourbon and bonfire. The Santa shoot is something that we've seen be extremely successful because everybody wants pictures of them with Santa, them and their kids with Santa, their kids with Santa, their dog with Santa, whatever.
Yeah.
Right. They love those cute pictures. And so that's a great place to have individualized time with your clients as they're coming in to get the Santa shoot. Renting a movie theater out for your database, I think is a great idea. Like a summer movie is fun. Or even if you don't have the budget to rent that out, like maybe doing a movie night in your own backyard and putting up, getting a projector, borrowing a
Yep.
projector from a friend and having popcorn and candy. So you can do a movie. The other one that I like in the springtime. So for you guys that are like, we're approaching, spring cleaning, is to have a U-Haul / dumpster event where basically you rent a dumpster, stick it in front of your house, put out a little tent where people can come talk to you about real estate, and people can come dump their trash, right? Anything that they've got stored at their house that they need to get rid of that can go to the dump. And also like anything they want to donate, you get the U-Haul, and then you can take that to Goodwill or whatever your charity of choice is.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good event.
Tacos and margaritas.
Tacos and margaritas is a great event. Yeah,
Renting a jumpy house for kids.
Yeah. Absolutely. So yeah, working those quarterly events in is, I think, an essential. Also handwritten notes. And this is one, so some of the realtors that I work with that are kind of working at even at the highest levels, they can attribute a significant amount of their success to that personal touch through a handwritten note. People love getting mail, right? They love, whenever you get your mail, the first thing that you're going to open is something that's hand addressed or that's personal or a wedding invitation. You're not going to open the bills first, right? You want to see what somebody sent to you. So when you send a handwritten note to someone that just says, hey, thank you, or hey, I hope you guys are off to a great start this year. Let me know if you need anything at all. Right? That establishes you as an influential person, because guess who writes handwritten notes? No one.
Yeah, no one.
Nobody does that anymore. So when you do that, you differentiate yourself from the marketplace. I still think it's a massive way to establish yourself as someone that's unique, and someone that's generous and influential, is to write a handwritten note, especially when you get a referral from someone.
Yes.
Like writing a handwritten note that says, hey, thank you so much for referring the Jacksons to me. I appreciate it so much. Please let me know if there's anything I can do for you. That's going to go such a long way. And you don't even have to, some people are like, create referral programs where it's like, I'm going to send you a $5 Starbucks gift card, which that's fine. People will appreciate that. It's more about the effort in sending them something.
Yes.
So it can be a $5 gift card, or it can be a, handwritten note, whatever. It's irrelevant what it is, or if there's value attached to it. What the value is actually just that you made the effort to reach out to them and to thank them personally.
Agreed.
Okay. Any other touch points we need to hit on database?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
All right. The other thing that I want to, say to you agents that are out there as you're sort of navigating a changing marketplace, is the way to create progress right now is to think small, to do the things that that work, right? Stick to your lead generation, stick to your time management, make sure you're loving on the people in your database to create the business you want. So, again, with your database, start small, be engaged, create great content, create value, host those events, host those events quarterly, and make sure that you're staying on top of your engagement in terms of like thank you notes for referrals, or just thank you notes in general. If you just kind of made a rule for yourself, like I'm going to send 5 thank you notes a week, I'm going to do that Friday morning, just do that, right? Just get a place to start and start building that muscle in terms of gratitude and engagement with your database.
Your conversion rate for something like that would be much higher than it would be with any sort of paid lead generation platform.
No question. All right, guys. Hey, thank you so much for joining us this week. We'll see you next week.
Thanks.